Hey guys, it's Mary. So today I'm doing the Intimidating TBR tag. And it is very exciting because not only are you guys getting to see what I want to read, I am also seeing the books that I want to read in the next year or so. So let's get started. The first question is, what book have you been unable to finish? And that is a very easy answer. I started this last month. I will probably not finish it until next month. It is Drums of Autumn by Diana Gabaldon. It is the fourth book in the Outlander series. And I have not been able to finish it because life gets in the way, like work and guitar lessons and all this stuff. And this is a pretty big book. It's 880 pages alone, but then there's the extra like Fiery Cross excerpt, which is the next book, and so you have over this 900 page book, and it moves kind of slowly, and I'm just not as into it as I hoped I would be. So I'm slowly moving along with it, but there are other books that I'm reading alongside of it that I know I'm going to get through much quicker and slogging around this book. I have another year and a half, 2 years until the fourth season of Outlander comes out. I think I'm doing pretty well in terms of keeping up with the series in terms of books. The next book is, what book have you yet to read because you just haven't had the time? And that is Lady Midnight. Because one, not only is it a humongous book, but two, I've also been not really in the mood for it. I've kind of gotten away from that Shadowhunters phase. It doesn't necessarily mean I don't still want to read the Shadowhunters Chronicles. I am going to finish this trilogy. I'm going to read this, and then I think I'm going to end it there. I just think there have been too many books in this series already, but I really want to read this series, and I will once I find the time and energy to continue reading this series. The third question is, what book have you been unable to finish because it is a sequel? And that book is The Hammer of Thor, the second book in the Magnus Chase and the Guards of Asgard series by Rick Riordan. And this is mainly because I loved the first book, and the second book, I only had to wait about 3 months for. I read the first book really late. I don't tend to do that with Rick Riordan's books, but Magnus Chase and Trials of Apollo, I kind of waited a long time to read, because they just weren't Percy Jackson, and that's kind of the thing I'm having trouble with here, because it's not Percy Jackson. You have characters from Percy Jackson, but it's not Percy Jackson. But I love the story. So it's a very complicated decision in terms of when you're reading Rick Riordan's books. Other characters show up in other books, but they're not the main characters, unless you're going from Percy Jackson to Heroes of Olympus. Other characters show up in Trials of Apollo and Magnus Chase, but they're not the main characters, which makes it hard to read this book because I want Percy Jackson, but I'm getting Magnus Chase and a little bit of Annabeth Chase, not Percy Jackson. The fourth question is, what book have you been unable to finish because it is brand new? And this isn't brand new. It's not the newest book I've bought. It's actually the second newest, because the newest book I read And that was actually a very quick read, even though it was like 600 pages. It was illuminating. This book is actually The Book Jumper by Chilled Glazer. I hope I said that name right, and if I didn't, I'm very sorry. This is about a girl who can leap inside any book, can book jump, and basically interact in the world. And it's basically every book person's dream. Like, let's be honest. If we could jump into Harry Potter, how many of us would? So, like, I'm excited to read this book, but it's, like, so low on my list right now, but it's also so high on anticipated reads, because I know I'm just gonna gobble this up, but I have so much other stuff to do. 5. What is a book that you haven't been able to read yet because you read a book by the same author but you didn't like it, so you're hesitant to pick up this one? So this isn't happening with me right now. Not really, unless you count Winger. Because I didn't like Grasshopper Jungle, but I started Winger a few months ago and it seems fine. But really the only time this has happened is actually with A Court of Thorns and Roses. If any of you have seen any of my previous videos about this, you know that I listened to the first 2 Throne of Glass books on audiobook, and I was hesitant to pick up A Court of Thorns and Roses because I did not like Throne of Glass. I didn't understand the hype. I didn't understand why everybody was so excited about this series. I just didn't find it exciting. But I picked up A Court of Thorns and Roses and I've never regretted it. But that's basically been the only time I've ever been afraid to pick up another book by an author because I didn't like the writing. Only time. So I'm glad this only happened at least once. I hope it doesn't happen with Winger. I hope it doesn't happen. If it does, sorry. If it does, yeah. Okay, so 6 is name a book you haven't read yet because you just haven't been in the mood for it. And this, I'm gonna say the name wrong. It's Aragon? Aragon? Which is it? I've heard different names. I believe it's Aragon. By Christopher Paolini. It is the first book in the Inheritance Cycle series. And this book was big when I was in middle school and high school, so it's been a while. But I'm interested in this book. So it's just gathering dust on my shelves by now. Because it's been like 2-3 years since I've put it on my shelves. But it seems so interesting. I just want to like pick it up and read it, but like I'm never in the mood for it. Which is basically the same with book number 7, which is a book you haven't gotten around to yet because it is humongous. And not only is Bitter Blue humongous, it's also a book I've never been in the mood for, and it's been sitting on my shelves for 5-6 years. But then again, I just read Anne of Green Gables like in January, and those books have been sitting on my shelves for 10 years, 10, 11 or so years. I will get around to both of these books sometime, just not right now. 8 is what is a book you have yet to read because it was a cover by and you're meh on the actual content. And this wasn't a cover by and it wasn't a meh on the actual content. It was more like, yeah, I'm interested in it. I've heard a little bit of the audiobook. Yeah, I want to read it. And I'm at the young adult convention with all these young adult authors, And I'm sitting at this table with Jennifer Niven, who wrote All the Right Places, which I haven't read yet. And I think if I don't buy this and read it and get her to sign this, I think I'm gonna go nuts with lots and lots and lots of regret. So I will pick it up. I'm not meh on the content. I actually wasn't planning to pick up for a while. But like I saw Jennifer Niven and I listened to a little bit of the audiobook. I'm like, yeah, okay, we're getting this book. So that was my impulse buy. But, you know, it wasn't a total waste because I got this book signed by Jennifer Niven and it is all great. And the last question is, what is a book you haven't read yet because it is the most intimidating book on your TBR? And this not only has to do with length, because these damn books are so lengthy, and sometimes they even make me think they're lengthier than Outlander, but also because it is a TV series, and I get storylines confused in my head sometimes. I haven't seen season 3 in so long that this book, A Storm of Swords, the third book, which I have not read yet, is very intimidating, and I want to get it done, and I want to read it, but it is so long, and George R. Martin's many deaths in the series, and where his characters go, where I've seen them go in the TV show, though I know they stick closely to the books. They also diverge a little. Is very intimidating. If anybody knows what happens in the season 3, episode 9, I believe it is, I don't want to read that part, but I know I have to. But I want to read it so bad. But this is definitely one of those books where I'm just like, yeah, read. Gotta read. And I will, as soon as I'm finished with a lot of other books. Okay, my name is Mary, and that was the Intimidating TBR Tag by Lindsay Ray, and I will see you guys later. Bye!